Hello everyone, it just ticked over 12:15, so welcome to our March virtual user group. Thanks for joining and I hope everyone's had a great week. So let's get stuck into the details of this month's meeting. So the agenda, we're going to go over a couple of questions that came through since our last meeting. We've got lots of updates to go over. We'll quickly touch on a tip of the month. We just want to do a quick poll in terms of the format and how we do our presentation every month. And then if we have time at the end, which I'll definitely try and make sure we do, we're going to give everyone a sneak peek of some of the workflow enhancements that are going to be put into our next scheduled deployment. So I'll try and make sure I get through all of the nitty-gritty stuff and show you some of the really cool features that are coming soon. So some of the questions that came through, we had a question regarding why is my module drop-down list not displaying, and it actually displays no results. So what you need to do is check all your module names and descriptions. There'll be a special character that you've used somewhere in one of your modules. Once you remove that special character, your list will then populate. So this was found when they were right-clicking in a script and trying to insert a module. So just go and remove those special characters, and then the drop-down list will then populate for you. And then the next question we had was, when I insert a workflow into a functional script, not all my steps are showing. So this issue is particular to the end events. So at the moment, we recommend only using one end event in your workflows. So if your steps don't all populate when you're inserting a workflow in a functional test script, go back to your workflow and ensure that you only have one end event on that workflow. Does anyone have any questions on those two questions that came through to us? Fantastic. So we'll go over some of the bugs and features that went into TransIT over the last month. So in regards to plans, we did a update on the view timeline enhancements. So it's a lot more detailed, and I'll be able to go over that in a little bit. We added the ability to freeze your columns inside of a plan. So you can freeze the default columns or your customized columns. We fixed changing the dates on an activity that had dependents, so now they update correctly when you refresh your browser. We added the ability to color rows inside your plans, and also we will be adding in the ability to color your columns, so that should come into our next scheduled deployment. And we fixed the HTML displaying for a text area when you're using a customized column. Inside the workflows, we added the ability to renumber your workflows. You can now associate multiple categories to your workflow. You can now create customized columns on your workflow dashboard. You can also export your steps inside the preview steps page, and you can also assign multiple positions for your swim lane. The items that went in for the scripts, we added a toggle to hide and unhide global content when you're adding a workflow to a script. We updated the update column so it updates in real time. And we also updated the color of the steps when you actually go and update or make a change or insert a workflow or a module. The orange color has now been toned down a little bit. We also added removing all filters on the rosters page, and we also added the ability to toggle automatic pop-ups for failed and skipped steps. So I'll be able to show you that in a second as well. Inside the issues, we fixed an issue where the right-click options, when you did a change, it didn't write to the log, it now writes to the log. And we also fixed up the breadcrumb on the view changes page. And inside the org settings, we fixed importing users. So for all the clients out there that have imported users and it changed it back to a user, if you had it as a tester and an administrator, it now honors those user types inside TransIT. So we'll go through these in individual order. So the view timeline enhancement, you'll now get this screen. There are some enhancements coming in the future, but for now, this is the screen. So on the left-hand side, you have all of your information, and then on the right-hand side, you have your visual display of your dates and when things are due. The freeze pane, so as I mentioned, if you right-click the blue header and go into your customized columns, you'll now be able to freeze any of your panes inside of your plan. The dependents, when you update your start and finish dates, if there is a dependent associated with that activity, once you've finished updating all of your dates, you do need to refresh your browser, and all of the dependent dates will refresh according to the date previous to that activity and based on the time that you've allocated for that dependent activity. So you just have to remember that it won't update live. You'll have to make your changes, and if you do need to see what changes you've made, you just have to refresh your browser and then it'll update for you. These here are the colored rows inside of a plan. So I've just picked two different colors. There's an array of different colors that you can choose from. So what you would do is you would select one or multiple activities inside your plan, and you would right click, and there's now a option to select colors inside of that right click option. And then you just select your color. To reset the color, you do the same thing. You select your activities, and then you right click, and inside that color option at the bottom, there'll be a reset option there as well. Workflow renumbers. So the way you would renumber your workflows, you would just right click that individual workflow, and then the number field is now editable. So you can go in and change your numbers if you wish and desire to do that. Multi-select categories for workflows. So as you can see on the screenshot there, you can associate multiple categories to your workflows now. So if they do cross over into different categories, you can associate it, and then when you use your filtering, then you'll have those categories associated with your workflows. This is a big change for the workflow dashboard. So we have added the ability to add customized columns to your workflow dashboard. It's a very similar, or it is the exact same steps that you use for your plans. So you just right click your blue header there, select customize columns, and the same screen will populate that is in the plan screen, but it's for workflows. And then you would edit and add any customized columns that you would like on your workflow dashboard. So we've already seen a lot of clients utilize this functionality, and it just gives everyone an opportunity to add the columns that they want on their dashboard to make it easier for you guys to track everything the way you want to track it. On the preview steps page of your workflow, you can now right-click the blue header and then export to Excel, and then you can obviously see all your steps in Excel. Multiple positions. So you can see here on this example, I've just added in some positions that may not be relevant to this workflow, but you can see on the first swim lane, we have paramedic and reg clerk. And then on the third swim lane, we have reg clerk and system. If you do insert this workflow into a script, you will have the opportunity to select which position you would like to pull through for that one swim lane and for all of those tasks and pathways inside that swim lane. So you can have 2, 3, 4 positions added if you'd like, and then you can select it when you insert it into a script. The toggle hide and unhide global workflow content, there's a little icon at the bottom there that you can tick on and off to have the global content show or not show. So if you do want to import a global workflow, which we are adding more and more every day, you can do that, and then you can use that global content as you wish. The update column on the scripts page, you do have to display this column. It's not automatically displayed on your scripts dashboard. So you do have to click the right blue header and then select columns and then toggle the update on. When you do make an update, it does update the date in real time. There's no delay. So if you do update a script today or right now, it will populate with the correct date and there won't be any time delay. As I mentioned earlier, the color of the steps being updated has just been tweaked a little bit. So I'm sure everyone remembers that the orange that we used in the past was pretty bright, and you always had to refresh your page. Now it's a little bit of a toned down orange and a little bit easier on the eyes. So you'll see that when you're updating your scripts. This is a client request, but many people have asked for this, to have the ability to force your testers to make a note or an issue on a failed or a skipped step. So there's two ways that you can toggle this on. So this screenshot is for a new test round. So that's the toggle right there, highlighted in the middle. So you can turn it on or off. It is set to be default on. So if you don't want it on, you just have to remember to turn it off. We do have a request to have that default off. So hopefully that'll be coming in the next couple of weeks. So that's the first area that you can toggle it on and off. The second option is when you edit your test round, you'll see that there is a little toggle there that you can check on or off depending on your preferences. There is also another request that will be worked on very shortly where we would break up the failed and skipped actions and the toggle. So you would have the ability to have one, both, or none on. So that would be obviously a client preference. And then obviously the default would be everything would be off. So I'm not sure when that'll happen, but that is a feature request that we are going to put in. Inside your issue dashboard, if you did use that right-click change option, those changes weren't being recorded on the audit log or the view changes area. If you do make a change now and you use the right-click, it does report and write to that log for that issue. The breadcrumb was missing the little issue on the right-hand side there, so it's being fixed up for everyone. Inside your new issue page, the default project was not being honored. So if you did change your default project, then you always had to go in and change it. It now, if you select your default project and you change it inside your org settings, for any new issues, when you click new issue, it will populate with that new project. So a little bit less time consuming, less clicks for everybody, if you wanted to change it. So obviously an admin would have to change that for anyone. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the import from Excel for the user type now honors the three user types inside of TransIT, so tester, user, and administrator. Previously, if you imported inside of TransIT through Excel, then it would change every user to it would change everyone to a user, even if they were a tester or an administrator. So it now honors those user types. Just make sure your spelling's correctly, and you'll be fine when you import them in. In terms of the tip of the month, and we mentioned it earlier, was one of the questions. We just want to remind everyone, just be very careful. Generally, do not use special characters. Specifically, your workflow names won't save if you use special characters. And then, as I mentioned earlier with the questions, the modules drop-down option won't display when inserting a module inside a script. And then just another quick tip, if you are on your workflows page, you can use your keyboard shortcuts, Control-Z and Control-Y to undo and redo. So if you do delete something on your workflow diagram, you can hit Control-Z and it will put it back. And then if you want to redo something, you can use Control-Y. In general, we've changed the format of this user group. This time last year we were doing live demos for everything. We now do screenshots for a lot of items and some of the newer features. We do live demos. So we just wanted to get some feedback from the group. So I'm just going to launch a poll. And of course, it doesn't tell me who logs everything. So let me just go down and grab it. And we just like your feedback on the way you would like this user group presented. So hopefully it pops up. And I'll give everyone just a minute to go over that. All right, we've got 12 people out of 16 so far. I'll give another kind of 10 seconds. All right. So as I mentioned, thanks everyone for your feedback. And then as I mentioned earlier, we do have some really cool functionality that will be deployed in our next scheduled deployment, which will be next week, hopefully. And I'll just jump into TransIT and show everybody the new functionality. So you can see on the right-hand side, I've highlighted comments. So just give me 1 second. So I've loaded TransIT up for everybody, and you can see the workflow dashboard. And I'm just going to pick a random workflow. And when we go in here, the new change, or there'll be a change coming where this screen here will be a read-only screen. So if you wanted to edit your workflow, you'll have to go across here and click your edit workflow icon, and then you'll be able to make any edits here. The features that are coming, we have 2 dynamic icons that have been added. So the first dynamic icon is this one up here next to the name of the workflow. So when you click on it, you're able to go in and edit your workflow and all of your information inside your workflow, change it, do whatever you'd like in here, and then click save, and it will take you straight back to your workflow. So that's the first dynamic icon up here. The second dynamic icon that has been added is this little download icon here. So it says download menu. When you hit download, you can now choose to download your file into XML or a PNG file. So instead of putting multiple icons up here, we've now made it an icon where you've got a drop-down list and you can select whichever download you would like. Again, it's just saving some real estate and some really cool functionality.
Hey, Travis. Just another tip of the month there is that right now we don't have the feature for copying workflows. That's coming soon. But if you were to go to there and download it to XML and then upload to your new workflow, that's sort of the workaround for not being able to copy right now.
Yep. Before I get into comments, actually we'll do comments first. So this little icon here is your comments box. So now inside your workflow, you can add any comments. So if you have a lot of teams or people doing workflows, you can add any comments you have in here. So we'll just do a virtual user group comment, and we can click save. And then you have your list of comments all down here. You can toggle across to attachments, and you can add an attachment. So let's go and download this file here. Add the file on. So now you can add any attachments you would like here. So obviously I've downloaded this PNG file, which is this workflow here. You can download it or delete it, and then you come across the comments and it puts in a timestamp and a link for your attachment. You can close your dialog box, and then if you go to your view changes, you can see here that it's written all the comments and the attachments to your changelog. And then the other feature that's being changed, you can see down here that there are some read-only views. These are links. So when you click on this link here, you can see that this workflow was what it was before. And then if I click on what it was after, you'll see that this orange box or this orange task has been added, either an outcome or a module's been added to it. So you can see exactly what's being changed in a read-only format. So does anyone have any questions on that functionality inside workflows or any other functionality inside of TransIT that you might have questions on? Patty, did you want to add anything to what I've said or I've missed?
Just maybe if people have not really thought yet about the addition for workflows of being able to add custom columns. I didn't realize how powerful this was until I saw it. So you can do things like add a column for assigned to or owner or anything like that, which really helps you track your workflows. So if you build your statuses appropriately and marry that with either an assigned to or an owner column, it just makes it incredibly powerful. Or also one of my clients, we've added a column to say whether or not we want that workflow to be tested in UAT or not. So a whole bunch of different things you can do with that. So I just hope people think about those things because it really, really does add to the functionality.
So just while Patty was explaining, I created a customized column. It took 20-25 seconds. So you can use customized columns as much as you'd like to make your job easier, for sure.
Yeah, and in my case, I made it a multi-user reference list in case it was one of those ones where Travis showed you can have multiple owners of a workflow. So if a workflow crosses, nursing and patient access or whatever it crosses, so you'd be able to do multi to assign one for each. But anyway, it's pretty powerful functionality.
Does anyone have any other questions, comments? Great. Everyone have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks, Travis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trev.